Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a video on why the Isengard squad is my favorite shadow squad in the game and what I think could be one of the best early farms to start in the game based on how accessible these characters are, many just being given to you at the start, but the really only difficult farm being Azhak here, being a very, very good character. So I want to break down the entire Isengard team here and show you a little bit of how they work in battle so you can decide if it's a team you want to try using as well. Okay, starting out, we have Ugluck at the lead. Everyone's going to start with Ugluck. You're going to start with these first three guys over here. Dunnar, Ugluck, and Maurer here. They pretty much start you with this as your evil side team, very early farms or given to you. Ugluck, and the reason this squad is very interesting is that he has a heal whenever an Isengard squad member inflicts a Bane. So a Bane is a temporary negative status effect that goes out onto the enemy. If you do land that, then you're going to get a 2% heal or 2.5% at this level. It's based off of the Isengard character's max health. So as you increase their health, so even maxing this out gets them 5% max health and then 5% max health here. So the more health that your Isengard team has, then the more they're healing every time a Bane goes out. Now, again, the reason I like this is because the big thing for me right now in this game is getting through all of the different campaigns. There's not a crazy amount of PvP content outside of Arena, and it's very, very early on. So to me, it makes sense to build squads that can go through and 3-star every single mission in the Light campaign, Shadow campaign, and Guild campaign, because it's going to get you access to everything in the game, being gear and character shards. So as future legendaries are released and you need to farm certain characters or farm certain gear, you already have all that knocked out. So it's really important that you run a squad that can handle all of these and allow you to farm whatever you need to, either now or just in the future. I mean, there could be a time a year from now they put a certain new character on a node that's very far in the Shadow campaign, for example. And if you haven't 3-starred that, you'll have to go back and take care of that, potentially gear people up to make sure you can do that. But if you can go through and just get that done right away, it's one less thing to worry about down the road. Now, the reason this squad works well for that is that heal that Ugluck has in his lead. Every time a Bane is inflicted, there's a heal. It's just going to continue every single turn. It's going to continue topping up the entire team. So instead of needing, to have a healer, there is a healer in the team, but instead of needing to like really try and use taunts and heal to make sure people don't die so you get 3 stars, everyone stays relatively healthy the entire time. Again, it can not go well at different times as well, depending on certain teams. And I'll talk about the teams that I think this will not do well against. But for the most part, if you're going through, they're going to stay very healthy, which is very good. Now, continuing with Ugluck, his basic attack here, I have not actually upgraded yet because I'm a little bit on the fence on this one. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, but I do think there's a way that this works for the team, but it's just a straight basic attack for 100% damage. That's it, nothing crazy. After that, he gets a chance to gain provoke, which means they're forced to target this character. Again, that's your leader, so I wasn't sure how that'd work, and it goes to a place of always provoking. But there's actually another ability on the team that I think makes this potentially good. So I want to kind of show you how this could work. This is more theory right now for me, but I think at higher gear levels especially it could work. But this I'm cautious to do this, and I know some have and haven't liked it, but I think it depends on your gear level. So first of all, if Ugluck has provoke, he's going to be getting hit and getting more damage than the rest of the squad. He does have an ability down here on his passive that says on block, inflict weak-minded for 1 turn on the attacking enemy. So that means resistance is reduced by 50%, which means they are more likely to have debuffs, applied to them. So again, more debuffs going out, more healing for Ugluck and the rest of the squad. So if he is provoking and getting more hits and he's blocking the attacks, which he has, if it says on block, inflict weak-minded, and then he gets this block chance here, 10, 15, 20, 25, and there's a weak-minded duration. So 2 turns there, they have that weak-minded, which typically an enemy's not going to last 2 of their full turns if you're solely focusing them because they have the weak-minded and you're putting a ton of debuffs on them, or Banes. So you have the block chance here, which is not that high, but there's another character in the squad who actually I think adds this even more, and that is Dunnar. And we'll go through his kit in a little bit, but he has this passive down here, which at the 2nd level says on turn, grant 1 stack of defensive to the most wounded squad member, and it is block the next hit from an enemy attack. So if Ugluck is taking the most damage, hopefully not too much, if he's taking damage, he's not only going to have his own chance to block attacks, but Dunnar is going to, on his turn, continue giving stacks of defensive to Ugluck. So he's blocking or reducing the damage coming in. And when he does that, he's going to be giving out weak-minded, which means everyone else can focus in on them and land a lot more debuff. So I think there's a lot of synergy there just between those two and his passive here. But obviously, there could be times where he gets provoked and just he gets focused down faster than you can kind of get things going. So I think it will be hit or miss. It might depend on the gear of the whole team. And maybe in the future we'll have mods in this game as well. So you might, try and put very like health and armor type mods on Ugluck. So he is like just very, very tanky with this kind of synergy he has. But I think it's a very interesting ability, but I'm a little cautious about moving to it. So I'm kind of waiting until I'm really ready to like fully get the squad going and get them all geared up. So that's his basic attack. Again, it just gets a guaranteed provoke and then an extra provoke stack down here with more damage. The next one is a crazy, crazy good one. At the base level here, you inflict blind, which means the enemy who's afflicted with blind will miss their next attack. This is great on any Ironhide, Striders, Eothic, anybody with an AoE to put blind on them so they use that and miss completely is very, very good. It reduces the stamina cost here at the second level and then just increases damage. So very simple, but the blind is very effective, especially in Arena. A lot of people run Ugluck as a 5th on any team because of that blind. The next thing, and again, another very, very good ability is he has a team up attack with Maurer here, and he has a disable at the second level. So only basic attacks are available. Again, anybody with the AoE Strider with his triple strike with the burn, if you inflict disable, they can only use their basic attack. So in a couple of turns, depending on how you use it, Ugluck can blind someone and then either on the same character disable them, or you can disable a different one depending on what you're doing with the rest of the team. So he's got a lot of shutdown and debuffs that he's putting out, and obviously we already talked about the basic, but I think he's a fantastic character. He could be used in any squad, but I think as the lead that's available, I'd say this is kind of like the free to play squad because they start you with so many of them. I think he's fantastic. The next one we're going to talk about is Maurer, or however you say his name. We're just kind of rolling with it. He's got obviously his team up attack with Ugluck, so he's got some of that there, and he has one of the higher attacks in the game. Looking at his basic abilities here, it's just a damage that has a chance to gain more critical chance. He's got additional critical chance per bane on the enemy. So again, we're focusing down someone. They ideally get weak-minded by the means of Ugluck's passive or another character we'll look at in a second. And then if you're using his leaping stab, his basic, again, once it's all the way upgraded, he's going to do a lot of damage and have a very, very good chance to land a critical attack. So again, much more damage, 5% chance per bane, +5/+5. So that's 15% per bane, plus the additional standard 10 he has right here. So very often with the squad, I'll get 2, 3, or even 4 banes on an enemy. That's you're looking at potentially like 45 to 60% crit chance plus this for 70. So the chance of this being a very big attack for a basic, I think are really cool. The next one he has is the Foul Liquor here. I don't love this one as much, but I think it's okay. He grants stacks of regeneration and to himself 2 stacks for 2 turns, which means he just regenerates health every turn. And then he gets Deadly, which increases his critical chance. So again, this paired with his basic, I think kind of means that anytime he's called to assist or anytime he's doing anything, he's got a very high chance to deal a critical attack, which is very good. And he has a very high attack stat. The thing I wish that he had was some kind of a taunt or even just a provoke on this, since he is getting the regeneration and healing himself. But again, it's just not in the kit. So he does grant haste at the 3rd level. He gets, 2 turns of Deadly. He gains turn meter. So it's not a bad thing. But he's one of those that seems to always be like one of the last ones standing because he stays very healthy with this and the Bane's healing him, but he doesn't get targeted as much. So I'm not sure if that will ever change or he'll get some kind of a taunt down the road, but it seems like that's like slightly missing here. But either way, it plays into his damage abilities. Next, we have his 3rd attack ability, level 2, Twist the Knife. It is attack the target for 180% damage and inflict slow for 1 turn. So again, a debuff going out to heal, a call to assist with Ugluck, and increase damage as well as increasing the slow duration. So again, the slower your enemies are, the less frequently they go. So that's not enough speed, reducing speed or increasing speed with slow or haste is very, very good. But a call to assist there on Ugluck to do big damage is very good. And then lastly, on a critical hit, he's going to cleanse Banes from himself. Isengard squad members gain 5% critical chance here, and then critical damage is increased. Extra Banes are cleansed from himself, more critical damage, and another Bane cleansed. So he's got such a high chance to land critical hits. The critical damage is being increased. It's now cleansing several Banes off of himself. Again, I think he's one of those who are just going to stay very like full health. He's either going to be there at full health or he's not going to be there at all, because I feel like he just continues to heal himself and is healed with the team, doing big damage and cleansing everything off of himself. So if he gets marked or he gets a bleed or a burn or anything like that, he's going to ideally cleanse that very quickly. The next one here is Dunnar. Dunnar is really, really good. Dunnar is kind of the healer of the group. So first of all, he has this bloodletting, which is going to inflict a stack of bleed. It's a 2-turn bleed at level 2, and then increases in damage until it's a 3-turn bleed on the max level here. So again, bleed on the target's turn, they take damage based on their max health. So the more stacks of bleed, the more often people have bleed, the more damage just constantly going out. So you're putting damage out, and when you land the bleed, you are going to then, you know, heal your own team. So it's a very good thing there. Then we have an ability here, a second one, which is a 120% damage and inflict heal block. And then it increases the heal block duration at max level and just damage in between there. Heal blocks are nice. If there's someone that you absolutely want to take down and you know there's a healer, you can actually just focus the like actual threat and not the healer first if you can get the heal block to land on them. Now, obviously, this could be cleansed, but for example, if you get to a mission where there's a very high DPS character and a very big healer, you focus the DPS character, you put heal block. Even if the healer goes and they heal, it won't then heal the DPS character, so they kind of waste the heal in a sense. And you can just keep focusing and taking out the DPS and then move on to whoever's next. So heal block can be used very situationally, and there's not a ton of heal blocks in the game that I've seen, so I like that a lot on him. Then his heal, which is pretty decent. I wish it was a mass heal, but maybe that would be too broken for this team. But it heals the most wounded squad member for 100% health or 100 health and 10% of this character's max health, and inflicts weaken, which reduces damage on a random enemy. And then the healing scales up. It inflicts weaken on multiple enemies, continued scaling on the healing, as well as reducing the stamina. So again, a large percent of his max health plus. Currently mine is going to be at 500 heal plus his own percentage of his max health, plus the fact that Banes are going out. So not only does this heal the weakest member, but there's going to be a little bit of healing. If you inflict weaken on 2 random enemies, it's going to heal everybody a little bit as well. And then lastly, we already looked at his passive ability when we were looking at Ugluck. So he grants that defensive to the most wounded squad member. He gains max health. He gains max health and focus. So capability to apply debuffs. So again, the higher his max health is, the more he's going to heal your most wounded character. So if you do get in a bad spot, he can do a pretty significant chunk. Again, 500 right here with that plus 12% currently, but that can jump up to 8%, 814% at this level. Then you have 16% of his max health, and then 18% with 1200 healing. That's very, very significant healing for Dunnar. Next up, in my absolute favorite in the squad, is Haki. He is the more difficult one to farm. Again, I'll be putting their locations. You can farm them on screen, so along the way you can see where they're farmable. He is in light campaign 4-9 hard, so he is a little bit later and would be probably the last addition to your Isengard team if you're going for the full Isengard team. But this guy hits like a truck. He's super fun to use. Just like everyone else, he puts out Banes on everything. So first of all, he has attack the target with a chance or guaranteed chance at level 2 to inflict expose, so reducing their armor. So again, reducing armor, we've got big critical hits going out, so these are all pairing well together. Again, when he inflicts that, he's going to heal them. Expose duration for 2 turns. So again, if we're focusing on someone and they're weak-minded for 2 turns, they've got exposed for 2 turns, all that stuff, they're going to go down very, very fast and be taking some very big hits. Next up, we have the second ability where he inflicts a bleed and 130% damage. Again, several rounds of bleeding, which is just going to, again, keep more damage going out as well as heal the entire team. Then we have his Cold the Weak ability, which is my favorite in his kit. It is attack the most wounded enemy for 190% damage. This attack ignores taunt. So to my knowledge, I haven't looked through every single kit in the game. It's to my knowledge the only ignore taunt that we have currently. So whoever is the most wounded ally, even if they are, if someone else is taunting or provoking, he will attack them. If they're in stealth, you can't attack them. We did try that. So it doesn't apply to stealth. You can't, pull them out of stealth to hit them. But if you're attacking someone and they're, got a third of their health left and their tank taunts, we've all been there. You can use him here. The crazy thing is this thing just has the damage scaling is ridiculous. So I've upgraded twice. Then as you can see, it's at 260% damage. We get 50 more here, 50 more here. So that's 360. And then we have 60 more at the end. So this thing's going to do 420% damage, ignore taunt, and on a kill, he's going to get might. So that means his damage is increased for his next hit. And he grants might to Maurer as well. So again, big hits going out by both of those guys. It's just nuts. I absolutely love that one. Then we have his passive here, Bred for War. He deals extra damage against enemies with bleed. So again, he has this ability here that inflicts bleed. We also have other characters like Dunnar who inflicts bleed as well. So as you upgrade this, he's, right now he just does 10%, but 15, 20, 30, 40% extra damage to enemies with bleed. So if you get a bleed on someone and then use something like Cold the Weak doing 420% damage, ignoring taunts, that's going to be ridiculous. So again, I just think it's crazy. The other really cool thing about the passive is on enemy death, he gains a stamina for a random ability. So how the recharge works, you gain stamina every round. So your abilities have this like little stamina bar here, so they have to refill every time. So every time that someone is killed, whether he kills them or not, he's going to gain stamina. So this one, again, is a full round cooldown. This one is a 3-round cooldown, so you're reducing that pretty significantly as you move through and take enemies out, allowing him to use these bigger hits much more often. So seriously, Azhak is crazy. I like him a lot. Again, he is a later farm, but I think he's going to be a very fun addition to this team. Now, the last one here is Morza. Morza I've not used as much. I actually just got him to Gear 5 as well, so I'm looking to do some more in-depth testing to see how these guys match up. A lot of people look at running an Ironhide as the 5th slot in a lot of evil teams, which I think is a good decision. I think Ironhide is fantastic. Ironhide has 2 AoEs. He has an AoE that dispels boons on the enemy, and his basic does more damage if they're below 50% health. We've talked about him in other videos. So Ironhide's great, and I think there are lots of combinations, maybe without Azhak early on, if you were to run Ironhide in this slot and you run the 4 Isengard guys, or if you wanted to leave out Morza because he seems like he's not as favored. But I want to talk about how I also think he adds to this team as well. Again, obviously Ironhide's great, but there could be a potential where he is just better used in like a Mordor team. His AoE, his 3rd AoE Rampage, he deals more damage for each Mordor ally below 100% health. So again, 7% damage right now at this level, so it goes to 10, and then it's going to go to 20% extra damage. On an AoE, that's pretty significant, and it's a very short cooldown for this. So to me, I'd be surprised if his best use once we're down the road and have all these teams together is not with the Mordor team. So as much as he can be a 5th plugin, we want to kind of see how these teams can work with their own like set 5 we have right now. And again, who knows? Down the road, we might get more Isengard characters who make the squad even better. You could look at a Saruman or a Lurch type character. It could be crazy. But for now, this is the 5 we have. So anyway, Morza, I do like him. His basic, which I think is very good, is Wicked Spike, and it inflicts Weak-Minded. Again, we talked about Weak-Minded and how Ugluck can put that out when he gets attacked if he blocks the attack. Again, and so Weak-Minded reduces resistance, which means you're going to land more of your Banes, which means your team will heal more. So if he's ever called to assist or he uses a basic, he's going to be attempting to put out Weak-Minded. And then once someone has Weak-Minded, you can focus everyone else. So you're landing the bleeds, you're landing the blind, you're landing the disable, you're landing the anti-heal, all that stuff. You're loading them up with Banes. So they pretty much can't attack or can only use their basic. They can't be healed. They're taking, damage every turn they go with the bleed. Again, something like the bleed, if you land that helps other people do more damage. So they just all like start stacking together very, very well. So again, Weak-Minded, maxed out, it's going to be a 2-round Weak-Minded there. So I think it's a very interesting basic. Again, he's not going to be doing heavy damage. He's not a support character, I wouldn't say, but he's hardly an attacker or a tank or something like that. The next one is Rally the Troops. Again, this one is Dispel. I think the reason people don't like him very much is because he really only has one of his own attacks. But I actually think that's an okay thing with this group because you have plenty of big hitters, so you need some other support things. So here we have a Dispel 1 boon from the enemy target and inflict Disrupt for 1 turn. So that, if you're fighting someone and someone uses a taunt or someone uses Unbreaking or one of those annoying skills you got to get through, if you have Morza here, you can Dispel that boon and then inflict Disrupt on them so they can't receive any more boons. So again, if someone's got some kind of a counterattack thing they get, or an evade, or just there's a lot of annoying boons out there, putting Disrupt on them to not only get rid of what they have, but then shut them down for a turn is very, very good. So I think it's a great ability. And at level 2, you get an Isengard ally to assist, so he still gets damage going out on this. You can dispel multiple boons. So there are like some of the dwarves we play against in the campaign have a taunt, and they have the Unbreaking ability. So the fact that you could use this on a dwarf, get the taunt off, get Unbreaking off, and just focus somewhere else or take them down more quickly, either way is going to be fantastic. And then whoever assists has a chance to get a stack of defensive. So again, defensive is great for anybody, but obviously he's going to work well for a character like Ugluck as he blocks hit. He's going to inflict Weak-Minded, so more synergy just working together here. And it gets up to a 75% chance to grant defensive, and then the stamina cost goes down a little bit as you get going here. So I think it's a very interesting ability with how it could be used. Again, would it be nicer if it was a mass buff dispel? Sure, but the fact it is a boon dispel, and I think that's pretty good. So that's Rally the Troops. The next one is Show No Fear. Again, another non-attack ability. So this is going to inflict Expose for 2 turns and grant haste to 1 random squad member. So Expose is going to reduce their armor. Again, we've talked about all these abilities so far, so hopefully it's clear by now. They're exposed, they're taking more damage, we have critical hits going out, we have bleeds going out, they're blinded, they're disabled. All these things are going to stack up, and you're going to see like it's very, very, I think it's very fun to use. Then we're going to grant haste to a random squad member, so they're going to go faster, which means they get more turns in. So random squad members getting haste is not a bad thing. You then have a boon dispel on the target and a random enemy. So again, if you're trying to work around a taunt or a a evade or whatever it is, you can get rid of that. And then I think it gets pretty crazy because as you keep going and upgrade it all the way, it is a mass boon dispel. So the boon here is going to dispel on all enemies. So if everyone had, you know, stealth, evade, taunts, provokes, whatever it is, that's going to dispel that, and everyone gets haste. So haste is 30% extra speed. They're, you know, whoever you're attacking is going to be exposed. So your team's going faster, everything's dispelled on them. To me, that mass buff dispel is fantastic. And then we have the White Hand Tactician. This is his passive here, which grants him max health and armor in 5% increments, again making him a little bit more survivable, which is probably not a bad thing. But again, I've not used him as much. Everyone's kind of like at 1-star gear 5, so I'm just getting him off the ground. But with 4 out of the 5 of them being farmed very quickly, you could run Ironhide in this Aztec spot until you get him. I think they're a fantastic team. I do want to take them into battle to show you guys how this can work, and we'll see. Again, let me know what you guys think. I've had a lot of people use them. I personally started using them instead of using the Bolg lead and was finding better success at lower star ranking and lower gear ranking and lower level ranking. So with a lower geared full squad of Isengard, they were doing better than having these guys at gear 5, Bolg, Naraz, and Tordok, who were 3 stars, 3 stars, and 2 stars. And gear 5 compared to when I had some of this squad at gear 4. So I've seen a pretty big difference between this squad at a kind of baseline. To me, this is like the gear 5 absolute bare bones for the squad, and I've been very happy with it. And they, in my opinion, have outperformed a higher geared and more starred up Ugluck lead team, and that included an Ironhide as well. So even Ironhide in here as a 5th could make this squad even better until I get them, you know, a bit more together. But for now, I've been very happy with it. So let me know down below what you guys think. And if you'd like to see more videos like this where I go through and really walk through an entire faction or at least an entire squad and how they work together, why they work together if they do, if you like this style of video where we really go through in detail, let me know down below. But that's going to do it for me in this one, and I'll see you all in a future video.